Really welcome you all on the session on nature analytics. Had a glimpse of conversation with Ajay. Thank you so much for appreciating the session. Quick understanding again, if you have not known me, a small snippet which I always share. Being an international trainer and OD professional, now being an author onto the research aspect, which we are going to talk today. With an experience in Honeywell and ICICI Bank, it has given me a leverage to work on the various forms of analytics. So let's try and understand. We have various courses as I represent Prism. If you want to reach out to me, tag me by Anubha Walia or else Prisma Philosophy, or else you can connect with me on, social media, which could be LinkedIn, Facebook, or Insta by Anubha Walia. You will find me there. Or just write my name on Google. You can easily reach me. So we have various other certification programs. You can actually refer to your corporates into the HR. We have a very designated programs for the professionals, for the corporates, for the youngsters, professionals like you, and also the Gen Z and Gen Y, participants. So purely the programs are based on the behavioral and soft skills. So I'll not go very much deep dive right now because we've already talked in past. But then if you want to reach out and want to know further more in details, please feel free to, come back to me. Okay, so we'll have certain tips. Yes, we will use our chat box. We will, put ourselves in the mute, and definitely we'll have some, breakout rooms activity today. So to make you guys now understand and work on the real phenomena of how the analytics works by your understanding on the subjects. So quickly, in the last four sessions, if you will see, we have covered about HR, the concept of HR, people and the workforce. We have also understood the benefits of HR analytics, the history and the importance and the challenges that we face. It was a part one. In the second session, we talked about the details on the tools, what are the careers and what are the analytics domain that we have. Definitely the third element went down to the TND matrix, so which is the function of LND that focused on the LMS versus LRS. We also talked about the top matrix which we use into the LND domain and how we can further improvise our training effectiveness by using various measures and tools. In this, we also talked about the last session was onto the recruitment metrics. We understood the various approaches that we can use and types of matrix that is very prominent. Also, what are the various benchmarks which is there in an industry. So today's session actually will focus on very strongly focusing on to the workflows analytics and workforce modeling. We will start with that. Understand how important is HR as a business partner, because a lot of people, I'm sure you come with a set of experience and expertise working, might be working as a business partners or COE, which is Center of Excellence, or even the higher role of CHRO. So we'll understand how this workforce analytics works. We'll also understand what are the various easy steps to use this analytics, right? So with this, let's try and understand. I'll put this PPT into the presentation mode. Okay, so this is the book which I have authored, and I think as we are talking about analytics, and we know that analytics comes with the component of various descriptive analysis which we do, which could be either in the form of quantitative or qualitative. And the book on fundamental of research now is available on Amazon, and it's there on Ocean Press and Flipkart and various other international sites, and it's really grabbing a great attention. So we have actually dedicated one chapter on analytics because we could sense it that yes, there is a lot of requirement. And this book was primarily written by me and my co-author, or specifically into the orientation of what the professions are actually missing out, because there's a lot of research actually you have to do to understand the various gamut of the statistical subject. So I have known that a lot of professionals don't know which tool to use on the parametric element and which tool not to use in the non-parametric element, or which one is more effective and efficient. And in fact, we have created a difference in a very smart manner. For an example, when to use one-way ANOVA, when to use two-way ANOVA, and so on, and how to use mean, median, mode, on a very descriptive analysis. I have realized that people find it challenge, whether to work on one-tail test or two-tail test. So if you, although we will be having a deep dive into this particular topics, because we are talking about analytics is just not words that we are talking about, but till the time we don't analyze the data and we are not strong at it, the analogy will not come into it. So the experience actually comes when you play around with the data. But how to play around with the data, this book is actually going to help you out, and you can actually buy from the various stores. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we'll focus on the workforce modeling and analytics today. So workforce modeling, if you will see and understand that it's on the screen, which says how an organization human capital would change as a function of some expected change in the organization environment, right? So this change may be a shift in demand for the organization's product, or entry into the new market, or investment, or for that matter, setting up a new set of different business altogether, or maybe a merger, or maybe an acquisition. For me, if you'll ask me, in a current scenario, work from home, this pandemic, a new normal is actually taking a big amount of shape. So you will find that workforce modeling will start happening. So I was going through one article, and in this I could see a beautiful picture here, and how this HR people are mentioning that, sir, our employees are so habitual of work from home that they can't work in a normal office. So for better environment, we have made office look facility like home. So that's why I work from home. So imagine how the people are actually changing the scenario. It was just a gamut into the laughter component, but then if you will see, this is going to happen in your future. And I actually got to know in Gurgaon that a lot of people are actually giving away their places and converting into a workstation just like at home, so that they become productive the way they have been when they're working at home. So the connect of business strategy to people reporting, it's so very important that when we say workforce analytics, and we'll say that the software falls under the broad umbrella of the people analytics, which refers to all the aspect of acquiring and managing employees. So the idea behind the workforce analytics is basically, there's a shift. There's a shift from the technology innovation, which that offers employees with a set of data. So in modern workforce analytics, we need to dig deeper. Wield more influence, present more visually. So analytics application, actually helps, what we call them enterprise leaders, to develop and improve recruiting method and make the decisions more impactful, keep the best worker with the company. So it actually helps the manager for predicting the probability of an individual employee success, or it could be even identifying the new development departmental need, or for that matter position. We could also determine which departments or a position can be reassigned or can be eliminated. We really need to, in fact, for that matter, quantify physical risks to employees in a specific position. And there are other factors which influence employees engagement and job satisfaction. You can analyze and predict current and future technological need. There is also you assign and delegate responsibility for task and goal, and for that matter, optimize the enterprise's organization structure. Now, help the enterprise, this kind of to actually identify and encourage and cultivate, not only to become a future HR professional, but actually a professional leaders, right? So just to give you an example, in 2017, a life science research organization, I remember, they used workforce analytics, a tool to examine headcounts, diversity, employees performance as a way to organizational setup. So meanwhile they were working on it. Just to give an example, I was discussing with one of the participant here. So the hospital using workforce analytics products, which has been able to discover that open job requisition had somewhere around the requirement which was doubled to 500 within a period of 2 years, which resulted into time to fill those available position was increasing at an increasing rate. Now, armed with this data, the actually hospital hired more recruitment staff to deal with such requisition surge, right? So what happens is you will find that the analytics, when we say the people analytics here on the screen that you can see, that how business strategy actually tend to become very effective usage to achieve a certain set of goal based on the reporting element, which is a relationship between the people initiative and the business initiative, by understanding the critical measurement, right? So you will see how we can identify the workforce requirement and employees requirement accordingly. And here you will see that HR as a business partner, is becoming very crucial now. What it used to be in the past, what we used to call the personal management, now moved to the human resource management. And a decade back, we were very strongly towards strategic human resource management, becoming into the now potential added value. So there, this potential added value comes with the designation of business partner, or sometimes they also say it internal consultant. Now, all these things, deep dive, actually you will find that a lot of people comes from the great set of expertise, maybe effective personal managers, or maybe a business person in HRM role, or maybe into the business integration, which you see into the strategical element. There is a David Ulrich model which talks about from the 4-quadrant perspective, future to day versus process to people. If you will see on the screen that if you are onto the future element to the process orientation, you become a strategic partner. But when you are dealing with the people and working with the future, that means the strategic focus will act you as a change agent. And the basic other two requirement, or the two levels that we see, is administrative expert, which is nothing but your operational focus versus processes, compared to the operational focus versus people, that is your employee champions, right? So you need to move from these two, administrative expert to employee champion, to the change agent and to the strategic partner. So that is why you will find that nowadays HR as a business partner is really changing. And that is why you will find an experienced human resource professional who works directly with an organization's senior leadership to develop and direct the HR agenda. They are actually closely supporting the organizational goals and the objectives as a business partner. So the goal of actually a strategic partner, we also call it as a business partner, is to make HR contribute to the business strategy. Now, this includes the design of HR strategies actually aligning with the business, contributing to the organization values, mission, objectives, strategy, planning, and having a seat at the table, and participating in the strategic planning. This is where you really need to target yourself when you're working into the HR domain. So your job is just not to be into the doing an administrative task, but actually leveraging your potential to that level. So effective HR would have three roles. Okay, I call them as a COE, that is Center of Excellence, with a specified HR expertise like global mobility, performance management, compensation and benefits, and more to it. Then there is a shared service center, which is the customer facing part of HR. And then there is a business facing embedded HR, which includes the business partner role. Okay. Now you will see that as a business partner, your job is to contribute to the business performance. You need to promote delivery of the business benefits, maintain employee engagement, right? Improves people management activities, supports legal to the regulatory compliance. Now, there are various set of competencies which are required to work as a, I call them as HRBP, which is like human resource business partner. So if I have to ask you, I would really require you to open the chat box, or else even you want to unmute yourself. I would like to know that what competencies one must have to work as a business partner, that is HR business partner. All to you guys. Please use the chat box. I'm really keen to understand, as per you, what are the key competencies of the people, if you are going to be working as an HR business partner, HRBP. Anyone? Okay, so I'll open the chat box and I can see here. Okay, I could see one is understanding business. Thank you, Prabodh. Neelam says strategic intelligence. That's really nice. Neelam, strategic intelligence is a beautiful word, but trust me, if you'll ask me honestly, a lot of people are not even aware of how the strategic works and how the intelligence works. They tend to work on the element of your intelligent quotient, but they forget about working onto the emotional element as well as the strategic element, and how to analyze the strategy also, that becomes challenging. But I must appreciate you actually hitting the nail right, strategic intelligence. Ashish mentioning streamline the processes. Ashish, I'm not discounting your thought, it is really nice, but if you will see in the last slide which I mentioned, you need to move to the next level, that is from to the people to the strategic side. Don't be with the process side. So the process side is actually, let me open this slide for you. Okay, so if you will see Ashish here in this slide, on the right hand side of the grid which has been made, process versus people. I want you to become an expert into move from administrative expert to the strategic partner. They think with the futuristic approach. So they love to work with the data, they love to see the changes which is happening. So this is where my answer would be coming to you, right? Anuj says change management skills. Indeed, Anuj, this is really important. A lot of challenges I have observed when I was working as a consultant in a securities company, and I still remember the challenge into change management skill is purely into the acceptance of the things, right? So that becomes a big problem. Okay, Ajay, you mentioned not just ESA, but people performance orientation. Absolutely bang on this. Absolutely. So we need to have a strategic bent of that approach. This I totally agree, Ashish, from you. Very nice. Thank you so much. So let's try and understand here what are the various competencies which has been required. Now, I would be using it as per my experience, and let me give you an insight to it, right? So, what usually happens is, the core competencies which are required may differ from company to company. Okay, so this is really important. So not every organization has equally mature HR function. I'm making it really very, underline statement that every HR function is not standard and is not mature. You will find that if it's a manufacturing setup, it's different. When it is a, service, then it is a separate. When it is a, financial institution, then it is totally different. So the access to the reliable data and the analytics will again vary to company, to the HR department, and different levels of involvement by the HR. So first of all, as the HR business partner, you should understand HR process and activities, right? So you should be so very well versed with the processes that on your tips you should be knowing all the formulas, you should be knowing about the ins and out, the input output process, your throughput process. So that is the first key thing, both in general as well as in a cultural context of the region. I am making it again emphasis on the cultural context. It could be possible that you might be handling India, that's a separate context. But trust me, in India, we have 29 states. Every state has a different set of culture. Suggestion here is understand those culture and bring it out the best, right? And if you go onto the global platform, then again you will find a different element altogether. So the first element is your knowledge about the cultural context. Now this is requirement to provide the business with advices to implement excellent HR services. Okay, so you, when you come across as a strategic partner or a business partner, or even for that matter change agent, you should be implementing the excellent HR services so that people remember you throughout, right? So just to give you an example, that when you join GE, you will find that you have to mandatorily complete your Six Sigma program. That's their, one of the initiatives that they have taken by the HR and made it a part of a mandatory for entire business processes. And every newcomer has to undertake one project and has to show the sustenance result for 6 months. Okay, now this is where you are able to connect with business challenges to HR activities, which is including outcomes. So for example, when this is about an Indonesia and in India. Okay, so when a factory in Indonesia needs to be opened, the human resource business partner should be able to identify which people challenges need to be tackled and which actions need to be taken. So being able to connect business challenges to HR activities is probably one of the hardest competencies to master. So you need to able to read dashboard, analyze the data. So you should be able to use HR dashboard, the reporting, the analysis, which is giving you a great of advice. And it should always have a strong contextual understanding of the business as well as a local and the cultural issue relevant to the territories that you actually cover. So when the business is looking to open the production facility in Indonesia, you're looking for different data than when you have an attrition problem in your, let's say, in Indian facilities. Okay, so kindly do not compare both of them. I have seen lot many times people doing this mistake. So a good understanding of the business and business priorities, I refer it to as a business acumen, business sense, business savvy. So it represents the keenness and your quickness in understanding and dealing with the business risk or an opportunity in such a way that you can lead to a good outcome, right? So here you can actually include the businesses that you are including into the competitive advantage, market value, competitors, and their unique selling points, market share, development, as well as understanding the marketplace, the role of technology, the deep understanding of the relevant stakeholders. So if you know, I'll just give an example of an ICICI bank, that HR is actually, when designating or doing a talent assessment also, and we used to do a different set of analysis. The HR had a very key role to it. It was not only the business which was having a role to it. So we really need to understand here that how well we can, as a stakeholder management, to get the things done from the business side. A little bit of the political landscape is must. So you need to be aware bit of your, the interest, the focus area, and understand your leaders and you being as a HR leader. Okay, so another aspect I would only say here as a competency, great communication and presentation skills. Now, to manage your stakeholders effectively and to support your business through value adding initiative, your communication skills and your presentation skills has to be very flawless. Your connection between HR and the business, it's your responsibility, and you should be knowing how to pick up the quick signals from their body language. So that is why I'm emphasizing on the communication. Effective at dealing with resistance, ladies and gentlemen. You will find that lot of resistance will come, and especially HR को तो कोई समझता ही नहीं है कुछ, कई बार उनको लगता है HR को कुछ नहीं पता, right? And you all will understand by this statement of mine. They feel, okay, HR, let it keep it. They are only handling the human resource, let them handle. But trust me, if you'll ask me, because I come from that background, HR is one department. They know what are the challenges the people are facing, right? So selling your ideas, selling your thoughts, this is what I have learned in ICICI and Honeywell. People give due respect to that department. So your effective dealing with resistance need to be very clear, and how to convert that resistance into an opportunity is where that will come with the various intervention that you will involve. So when you are doing a organization behavior subject or organization development subject, my very insightful input here is, please learn HR interventions very strongly. Okay, it could be human process intervention, it could be human resource management intervention, it could be technological intervention, or it could be strategic intervention. You should be knowing all these four intervention. What are the various other interventions falls into these four major categories. Okay, so specialize in any one of them. I have specialized in two. I have specialized in human process intervention, and I have specialized in human resource management intervention. So when anybody comes up, and let's say there are challenges people are facing into the knowledge side of the training, so we actually identify what could be the reason to it, and then the intervention used to be planned. Either it could be in the form of mentoring, either it could be in the form of coaching, or either it could be in the form of actually training. Or for that matter, I know that a lot of people don't know the difference between the coach, the mentor, the trainer, the facilitator, the guide. So you really have to be very clear between all the different roles people have. So this is how you need to plan your intervention. Okay, so whenever you're working onto this, you should be able to operate both on a tactical as well as strategical level. Now, competencies like stakeholder management, okay, dealing with resistance, communication skills actually involve tactical level skills while understanding business, connecting business challenges to your HR activities, and actually having a deep understanding of the business, which becomes, you're able to look the problem from a multiple perspective. Effective assessment is actually both strategic and tactical aptitude. So you need to figure it out which one you can become the core. So you will see that these three elements, as an institutional leaders or HRBP, which is human resource business partner, or center of excellence. Okay, see, COE is strongly word where you gets used when we work on the SAP element, and especially when there is a super users, functional implementation leaders, that is we also call as PHIL, and then we have COE, they are the experts. So they are the one who actually process and quality guidelines provider. They plan, they provide guidance, they provide templates, because that comes with their set of experience which they have actually implemented in the form of intervention. When we talk about the strategic guidance, you will see that they work onto the futuristic approach to manage the implementation process, right? Because they are an institutional leaders. But when we talk about process facilitation, now this is where the Ashish was actually emphasizing. So process facilitation can only be done when you have a very strong process know-how, and you should be only facilitating it, that. As I mentioned, human process intervention, in that we have a different roles of intervention, which is like you act as a coach, you act as a mentor, you act as a facilitator, you act as a trainer, you act as a guide, you act as a mentor. I have seen a lot of people don't know the difference between all of them. But right now, if I talk about HRBP, they wear the hat of facilitator. Who becomes the facilitator? People, those who have actually crossed all these hats. They know the knowledge so very well that they really can figure it out. If any change will happen, what wrong it will be there, or what benefit it will give. So this is how the projection of the facilitator works. So you ensure the results and the validation and implementation. This is why we say HRBP becomes very key and crucial. Okay, so with this you will find you have to move from I think to I know. The HR professionals I have find, when you're moving your hat from the administrative expert to the change agent expert, one is you, I think. My job here is I know. You're so very perfect about the subject that instead of using any anecdote or any experience, working with the reactive checks, please work not only with your data, but highlight the benchmarks. These benchmarks actually becomes very crucial and important. When you work with the benchmarks, let me help you out with my next aspect of benchmarking data to give you an insight here. But then the next level is into the correlation and regression, which you also work with the forecasting. And finally, the predictive causal modeling. Okay. So this is how you will find the more measurement continuum of more powerful versus less powerful works. That is how the data gets used. So kindly, again, I think is a very good anecdote. But once you know something, you're working on the correlation, forecasting, and causal modeling. Okay. So as I was mentioning about workforce analytics, and you can see on the screen that it is nothing but a strategies for combining data element into matrix and examining the change or the magnitude of relationship among the data. Now, such analysis or such I would say interpretations, thoughts can inform managers about your current and the changing state of human capital. And these analyses then further determine what matrix the organization actually need, what data elements are relevant, and what needs to be captured. Now, effort of HR metrics to inform management about human capital, one of the best way we use is benchmarking data. If I go back, can you see the benchmark in the center point? You will find that if you reach to this level, again, a very good, powerful thing. So the benchmarking data is one of the powerful and useful tool. It actually provide an insight into the organization relative standing, which put into the levels of various outcome that might be possible. Okay. However, now there is a challenge in using HR metrics for benchmarking, is that organization human resource practice and the use of its HR staff reflects the current challenges faced by the organization. So here we have to understand two things. One is HR practices and the use of HR staff current challenges that they're facing. Okay. So as a result, what I've seen is mostly organizations have an HR department, but the specific functions performed by the HR department actually varies and widely across from department to department, from organization to organization. So my suggestion here is you need to ensure that your HR matrix actually informs very strongly about your human capital. Although you will find there are challenges, but then if you can work on it, that is the where you will, figure it out how to transform yourself. So the direct comparison of external HR benchmarking data is the one. Your own organization may not provide realistic evidence of the relative standing, or neither provide the guidelines also, or for that matter goal setting or forecasting of the potential effectiveness. So if you will know, again, in my experience when I was working with ICICI, the talent assessment and the talent management which was given by Ram Kumar sir was so exceptionally good that till date people talk about that initiative, because it actually ruled from the analytics front, and they worked on the three aspect of the big data, ladies and gentlemen, which worked on the volume, variety, and velocity. Okay, so it offers volume because it provides large amount of data on which the analysis can be based. ICICI, again example, 1,60,000 people working in an organization, and you will know that yes, we will have such kind of data. And if I'm talking about performance management, we actually know, if we will go and check their role or a grade, you will find up till the grade of manager band 2, 70% of the population is from that particular data. Whereas if we talk about DGM and above, it would be somewhere around 10%, 20%. So my insight here is, you really need to know your human capital where you're working. Okay, so in most cases the data sets are a large, as a several hundreds or maybe 1,000 instances, which are sufficient to identify useful trends. So you can know what is happening in the past, what was there in the quarter basis or on the 6 monthly basis. Although there are, some instances where very large volume of data may permit some additional insight to your analysis. So big data, you will find it actually offers variety through the access to a wider range of data element. Now again, your variety is how you again look at the data. So your insight may be generated by incorporating new types of data into analysis, which could be previously not available to the organization at that particular time. So nowadays, if you will see, if you'll ask me personally, see, the variety will come now with the volume, work from home, not work from home, performance driven, not performance driven, male versus female, you will see the variety actually start coming in the so very manner. So the cautious here is, though in that organization, although in this organization you find that there's a tendency to conduct these analysis independent of the existing data that can be managed by your current HR professionals or managers to use it for the decision making actually. So you will find that a lot of interpretation analysis do come in. Velocity, when we talk about, actually refers to the speed at which data can be generated. Now, velocity is the big data characteristics most likely to consistently create the value for your organization. Now, with respect to your big data, velocity actually refers to how quickly organization can generate data to which they can actually conduct the analysis, so that the shortening of decision cycle can happen. So as an HR professional, you need to figure it out. One is the volume. So volume can be actually analyzed from using the Excel. If you want to work on the variety, you will also find that you can work again on the Excel. But if you have the volume more than thousands, in lakhs and lakhs, and if you don't have a velocity for the analysis, your decision will delay. And once the decision get delayed, it becomes challenge, right? Now let's see a good example of TikTok. What happened with TikTok? Imagine just in a day, $6 billion loss, isn't it? If you read about this case, they're actually losing out $6 billion. How the Instagram working on it? Now Instagram actually got their own TikTok. How did that happen? It actually happened on the velocity, because they're actually in that kind of platform. So if you are in your HR domain, you really need to figure it out, the analytics based on your organization effectiveness and also your impact related to the efforts that you actually put in. Okay, so let's try and understand here. Now, when I talk about any change, okay, because you will act as a change agent. So change in the data which is available in any organization actually allows to take a good advantage on the assessment infrastructure. However, if you will see, despite reporting more metrics with greater frequency to a big group of managers, many HR professionals who actually generate reports, when I say report, these are HR reports, questions whether these efforts have a significant impact on the organizational effectives or not. So you really need to see that your reports are actually leading to effectiveness or not. Figure that out. Figure out what effectiveness you're looking at. Are you looking at cost reduction? Are you looking the effectiveness in the form of productivity? Are you looking the effectiveness in the form of rejections, reducing the rejections? So there are a lot of parameters which can be worked on effectiveness, right? Now, if you will see, effectiveness is a result. Effectiveness is an effect. Okay, that effect actually need to figure it out through a correlation with the input with the causes. Okay, so you should be knowing how to do the correlation metrics, focusing on the cause and effect. So if there is X cause leading to Y effect, we need to check it into the SPSS or by through my mind map, Minitab, that whether there exists a correlation between these two variables or not. So to understand these two variables, you should be very clear about which one is a dependent variable and which one is an independent variable, right? So we all know that the statistics element again plays a very important role. Okay, so these reports actually, sometimes becomes really frustrating, and sometimes it's very difficult to tell what exactly the information is needed, because managers keep changing their requirement. Okay, sometimes it's difficult to use and read the HR metrics data which is included in existing reports also, which has been seen. Even acknowledging the receipt of the report is also a big challenge. So there are various set of perception you will find that brings a fundamental challenges and opportunities to improve the impact of workforce analytics aspect. So my again input here would be is what I have observed is the common uh, uh, there are two common and predictable outcomes what I have observed. First one is individual tasked with developing and reporting HR metrics in organization actually struggle to determine which metrics to report and how those metrics should be calculated. Okay, this is the first one. The second one is that I have seen now, as a result of first outcome, I've seen many organizations subsequently report large number of metrics because there is a no priority basis of choosing which one are likely to be more useful, because they really don't know. Ultimately, that will have a no impact on the decision making, and this will offer to a no return to the organization. So please, again, I would insist and request, you should be knowing which reports to generate. You should be knowing it very clearly how to read that report. You should be knowing very categorically how that will lead to the impact of your decision and how that impact will lead to the growth of an organization. Okay, then we also have the aspect of maximizing the impact of workforce analytics. Right now, if we talk about this, so the more effective approach I would suggest is to support your manager's decision. Now, understanding of the problem to address permits actually organization to determine very effectively the analysis that is most likely to be useful for improving your manager's decision or your own decision that is leading to organization effectiveness. So again, when I talk about the analysis, then please, you need to determine the matrix which are needed, which specific data element are needed for those metrics, how the data element need to be combined to create the metrics, So the difference between the data first versus problem first, let me reinstate this one. The difference between, I said, is the data first versus problem first approach is dramatic. So the latter is more focused. The first analyze the problem, because analysis are target at a specific managerial decision, which is increasingly likelihood that the analysis will be impacting your decisions. And simultaneously you will find it could lead to reducing the cost, attrition, reducing the rate, reducing the rejections, and then those finally gets calculated and reported. So again, HR metrics and workforce analytics actually comprise, information system, and these information systems can only have an impact on your organization, which actually you will find that managers make different and better decisions, and these decisions then further can be into the approach where I would say the first could be managers can make a decision, and then they would have made before they receive the result of the analysis. Okay. The another approach could be manager can improve decision making by making the same decision they would have made before receiving the information, but they can make the decision sooner. And making the decision sooner can actually accentuate your benefit to the organization. And lastly, you will see that managers can improve decision making by not making a new decision when one is not actually required. Okay, so you will find that sometimes the misinterpretation of data happens, confusing random variability with systematic changes happen that can lead to change, and that's why you will find that intervention goes very much in a deep dive. Okay, so when I talk about these evaluating workforce analysis opportunities here, you will find that many proficient HR processes, they will create a very strong component in an organization. You look for initial outcome based on certain set of action, then there is an intermediate outcome again based on some action, again there is an intermediate outcome again based on action, and final there is a real outcome. Okay, it works on the process of four aspects, which is HR process efficiency, operational effectiveness, strategic realignment, and starting with the end in mind. This is how the evaluation of workforce analysis opportunity works, right? So when I talk about operational effectiveness, as I said in the first point, process efficiency. Okay, now operational effectiveness actually analyzes and it focus on the process improvement. Now here the objective is actually to identify various opportunities to improve your operational outcomes through the improved human capital intervention. So often this requires a technical competencies of the HR professionals. So this could be as an example I'm quoting here, it is use of matrix which might include cost per hire, days to fill position, for that matter job design, employee deployment, okay, percentage change of performance review completed on time, retention could be another one, employees motivation, effectively managed accomplished objectives. So these are all efficiency effectiveness related. Okay, when I talk about HR process efficiency, okay, so right now we focused on the operational effectiveness. I focus on now onto the HR process which I mentioned onto the matrix. Let's try and understand onto the operational effectiveness. It highlight onto the recruiting and selecting, job design, motivation. That is the element. What I have observed that both efficiency and effectiveness goes hand in hand together, but some organization they will make HR process efficiency separate and operational effectiveness separate. Okay, based on your change approach and your business partner initiative, you can work accordingly. It's very easy to work on the efficiency element because matrix is very easy to calculate your cost per hire or fill in position. But the moment you talk about the effectiveness, and effectiveness, as we know, is a variable data and it is not a measurable data. So the job design motivation sometimes becomes very difficult to calculate. So that's how effectiveness needs to be measured, by converting into a measuring component. The third element, we have strategic realignment. Now it involves actually the set of activities which is commonly known today as a human resource planning, which we all know as a common word, right? So human resource planning actually efforts both on the long term plans, and it ensures the replacement of the labor power which is needed to operate on an organization, as well as it works for the strategic change in an organization. Now let me give you an example of Boeing. So they engage in a number of efforts to ensure that it will have a sufficient number of engineers available to the staff operation in a future years. So as the company was facing the various approaching retirement in a large portion of an engineering workforce. The same very thing, I still remember, I did a project with Bosch. So in 1956, if you will go back and study their insight in Nasik plant, they didn't had any recruitment process. They just opened the their office premises and asked the people to join. So people walked into the premises and they all got hired, the blue collar. And it was in 1956, as I mentioned. After 50 years, it was 2000. I remember they were about 2010, they were about to retire. And again, the same very thing, strategic realignment actually had to be planned for the new situation, new circumstances, because the new people need to get hired. And then Nasik plant actually worked on the development of the people, whereas Boeing actually working onto the, again, the taking an initiative onto the hiring more people, and a very smart projection was done. So again, so you will find that all the three areas, whether it is efficiency, effectiveness, or realignment, right, it actually emphasizes on your workforce analytics. For me, again, the fourth point, when I say starting with the end in the mind, even Stephen Covey's one of the 7 habits, good habit, he's also mentioned this very strongly. So you will find it is actually a key to generating an impactful workforce, to begin by identifying a big problem or an opportunity. So an effective approach to a successful potential problem is always to identify, either through the existing data or by discussing with the managers. We know that the challenges will come, and we have to introspect, analyze how things are shaping up. So you need to figure it out, whether the sales will go up, sales will go down, what will be the level of scrap, whether there will be an on-time shipment or not. So these things will actually come up through the analysis of the data, which you really act onto the element of following things. So how you can do this? You can do simply by 5 simple steps. First one is start with the impact in mind. Don't silos your thinking. Avoid data smog. Be aware of the shiny new toy, and make it to stick. So these are all hashtags element we saved, in the HR one. So let's understand on the first front, which is, we call it on to the start with the impact in mind. So we know that we collect the data, we choose a matrix, we report the metrics, we analyze the findings, and we assess the impact. This is the 5 phase which we actually work into the HR platform versus business impact, because that's what we are mentioning on to the human HR business partner, right? So the workforce intelligence needs to work and understand and move from workforce analytics. That is why when Neelam mentioned about strategic intelligence, we said workforce intelligence. Okay. So intelligence on the employee data, behaviors, patterns actually can help you to create a very comprehensive and accurate data over a period of time. Now it is actually coupled with the advanced analytics and a rich visualizations. Okay, now that can only happen once you don't work with the silos. So there is a lot of silos thinking which has been seen, and you really need to focus on your desired impact of your organization, understand your people strategy, understand the business imperatives, and the culmination of these two will actually lead. So you need to figure it out, try to question to uncover the people issues, like what do you believe are the biggest people challenges created by the company's business strategies, what talent groups of the categories will be critically important for achieving your strategic goals. So I've mentioned some questions to you guys here. You can actually understand and use it in your day-to-day conversation with your leadership team, or maybe do you anticipate any major change in technology or other innovation that will affect how people do their jobs? My suggestion would be, again, as in this pandemic time, people are learning from home, they're working from home, the thought process is changing. Try to uncover these things by addressing, asking such set of questions, bring out those change, understand those strategic approach, obtain what people are going through, and then you will see the understanding at a different level will come in. Okay, let me just see, there is a two chats coming in. uh, okay, so Saurabh has some engagement, not a problem. Okay, so let's try here furthermore. Workforce intelligence, as I was mentioning, which we move from analytics to the intelligence front. This is how it looks like. And you will see that from the approach to the skill, I'll just remove this. Thank you so much. From the approach to the skill to the strategic to an operational approach, right? Now it is actually coupled with an advanced analytics, and you can see an amazing, beautiful visualization happens. Workforce intelligence actually enable HR to discover various actionable recommendation on the people management. So they use the technology which is available. For an example, SaaS, we call it software as a service application, which is comes with a sophisticated big data analysis, and it is a process automation capability which you can actually use it. Okay, so again, there are high potential employees, let's say, are disengaged, right, from your workplace. So you can actually figure it out with your data. You can actually figure out from your data, is your recruitment manager targeting the right set of candidates or not? You can also figure it out, does your succession plan factors into all contingencies or not? So there are various ways which the workforce intelligence actually works. So you can with this workforce intelligence, you can anticipate demand, optimize your workforce, you can find your future leaders, you can take a preventive stance for your employee health and productivity. So that's insight. The third one is avoid data smog. What is exactly data smog? Okay, data smog actually is an overwhelming amount of data and information, often obtained through an internet search. Now, the volume serves more to confuse the user than illuminate a topic. So it deals actually with the influence of the information technology revolution, and how the vast information amount of information is actually available online to make increasingly difficult to separate fact from the fiction. So that's why they say, specifically into the search engine or the social insight data, we really have to ensure that we don't get targeted by the data smog. So I have seen into the customer data, satisfaction, loyalty, churn rate becomes very challenging. Your business data onto the cycle time, your quality, your productivity rate, even for that matter, the financial data on the expense, profitability, sometimes actually end up giving you, not correct insight. and even human capital related to your T&D, your performance, your demographics. And most important, what I know is sometimes it's very difficult to get the right set of data also. So just ensure that you practice and assemble the relevant data engine, ladies and gentlemen. Like, you know, you need to keep evaluating your readiness before assembling it. Keep explaining your real required criteria which need to be included in your data. You need to start with the small so that you can build up gradually. Don't immediately start with a big element, because it will have otherwise a deep dive impact. Don't strive for perfection again, as I say. You know, perfection takes years and years to come, but if you you know, give a right set of information, being a transparent is much more important, you know. And then keep tuning your you know, engine, that's what they say, and make it a scalable technology. So then we also be aware of your shiny new toy, you know. Again, as we say, there are beautiful technology which are available. Please, from data people to dialogue people, for me, dialogue people is much more important. But then putting the dialogue people into the data people, again, it is purely on the understanding. So have a very clear cut what is the real requirement that you're actually looking at from the technology, and on the basis of your data integrity. And then if we talk about the fifth step, which is make it stick, uh, please, important here is educate, engage, and coach your people. Tell the right set of story by using the right set of data. Use the measuring element very categorically, very clearly. If you see that the people have not been evaluating and measuring clearly, you should be knowing how to do the validity and the reliability test. Figure it out with the you know, the surveys that you do, and then with that generate a new insight and sight. So working with the performance becomes very crucial and important, right? So I would request now, what we'll do is, I'm giving this one case study to all of you, and I'm putting it into the chat box. 1 minute. Yes. Okay. Okay, so you can go to this anubhavalia.wordpress.com, and if you write staffing, or else even if you write data analytics, you'll get this. I'll just make it to everyone. Okay. Yes, you can just copy paste and you can just put it on your link right away and click it and you can read it. So what we will do is tomorrow, based on this, we are going to have a case study understanding, and we will break out into the rooms. Today it's already, we've touching the time now, and then in the meantime I would suggest is, please go through this you know, case study. It will really give you a great insight and help you to understand, right? Before we close, any query, any question if you have? Any query, any question? So I hope you have got the case study with you. Just read this case study. Tomorrow we'll do a case study, another one. So we'll do the practical orientation and we'll understand. Okay, so thank you so much. I see no questions. The insight is coming up. Thank you for the compliment. It was an insightful. Great, pleasure. So let's connect tomorrow again. We will see you at 10 tomorrow. And if you want to reach out to me, my you know, WhatsApp number is there, 9818446562, and you can connect with me, Anubha Walia, or else my company Prisma Philosophy, right? Great, thank you so much. Do read this case study. We'll have a discussion tomorrow. See ya. Bye.